Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Alcini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intentional Productivity Tips. I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner, and I want to thank you for joining us to talk about your productivity. Today, we are talking about something, well, we know all productivity is my passion, right? I say this every week, but legit, today we are talking about something that is going to be a game changer for you. Today, we are talking about a calendar fix-it, and we are talking about productivity habits that actually help with your calendar. To me, a calendar is an unhidden gem in our productivity portfolio of how we tackle this thing we call life. And so today I want to talk to you about how we can find and overcome challenges with your calendar. Today, we're actually going to talk about some fix-its. But first, you are watching me on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel. Please remember, like, subscribe, and even be notified when new episodes are dropped. I highly recommend you check out the channel. There's some amazing other programs that you can watch too. Not just about productivity, but about becoming your best self. And don't we love that? So today we are going to talk about your calendar fix-it productivity habits that can actually help. It is so very important whenever I'm working with people, with clients, one of the first things we talk about is your calendar and how you use it. When I talk to people, they're always here, my time and controlling my calendar is just not possible. And I'm here to tell you today that actually it is, because today we are going to look at calendar fix-its, simple productivity tips that can actually help. So on today's show, we are going to do three things. First, we are going to have a calendar fix-it sprint that begins to identify where you are with your calendar, where you might need to improve it, where you might want to make some changes, some enhancements, if you will. Then we're going to talk about common calendar challenges, and we're going to create some personalized fix-its for you. So we're going to hear things that we hear, challenges we hear from people, and then how you can fix it. And then third, as every week, we are going to end this week with creating an action plan. And this week, your action plan is creating your calendar action plan. As you know, every week, my goal is that you can take away one actionable step. So as we're working today, I hope that something drops in your mind and you're like, you know what, I can do that. Because our goal is to take control of our productivity, because we know we have worked really, really hard to create these lives that we have. So shouldn't we enjoy it? Shouldn't we be in control of our time and our productivity rather than our calendars being in control of us? So let's look a little bit at that right now, right? So our goal is to make our calendar work for you. When I first start talking to calendars, there's a lot of times that I might have clients that are kind of like, Megan, what do you mean by make your calendar work for me? What do you mean by all this calendar? My calendar, in this day's 2026, my calendar is just an app on my phone or my laptop or whatever, right? But that is actually not true. A calendar is a very powerful tool because it paints a picture of our past, our present, and our future. So if we're able to use our calendar powerfully and intentionally, we can help take control of our time and also protect us for, say, how we want to spend our time, right? When we think about it, most calendars aren't broken, they're just underused. When I first start working with a lot of times, people a lot of times it's like, oh, I just have my appointments on there. I just have reminders, right? But when we think about it, your calendaring system and the information you can possess there really can help you take control of your time. If your calendar feels stressful, cluttered, or useless, that's a signal. That's a sign. If you don't like your calendar, if you're like, ugh, I don't want to deal with that, there's a sign right there, something we might want to take care of. There might need to be a fix-it. Good news. Today, we're going to share some fix-its with you. When we think about it, when we're talking about making our calendar work for you, one of the things I want to remind you, we are talking about small fixes, right? I'm not talking about a wholesale challenge. I'm not talking about wholesale changes or anything like that. What I'm saying is start to be attentive, start to be curious, start to understand and look how you're using your calendar and your time. Let's think about making small changes. Life is too stressful to make all of the big ones right now. So let's work on the small changes. So let's start looking at that right now. So the first thing we're going to do today is we are going to have a fix-it sprint. Now, this is a specific sprint that is a calendar sprint for your calendar. It is a specific fix-it sprint for your calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the big piece overhead. I'm going to tell you the steps that we're going to take. Then I'm going to give you a little bit more of a prompt before we get started. So what the goal is with a calendar fix-it sprint is I want you to spend some time and I want you to ask yourself some questions. I want you to spend some time with yourself and say, how is it that I'm using my calendar? You shouldn't be doing this when you're watching Traders. Although, well, let's be honest, Traders is good right now. You shouldn't be doing this while you're driving. You shouldn't be doing this while you're in a meeting and maybe you have a screen off on your Zoom camera. What I am saying is find some time. Maybe it's on a walk. Maybe it's in the morning to think about and spend time listing and thinking about what you want your calendar for you to do for you. Do you want it to reduce stress? Do you want it focus on projects? Do you want it to show progress? Do you want it to remind you of things? I'll be honest. My calendar shows it is a caption of my life. It is a picture of my life. I track all of my events, activities, and time on my calendar, color coded, of course, because for me, I've spent time with my fix-it sprint saying, I know I want my calendar to paint a picture of my life and to tell a story of how I spend my time, right? So the first thing in your fix-it sprint you want to do is you want to ask yourself and you want to spend some time thinking about what you want your calendar to do for you. Then you want to prioritize when you look at that list, right? When you look at that list, prioritize what matters most right now. So for example, as I've said, I like for my calendar to be a historical element. Well, I might not have added historical things, so I need to go back and do it. My question is do I need to do that right now or can I do that later? This is where we're starting to look at what actions we're going to take are, and we're going to prioritize those actions based on what can make the biggest difference now. And let's be honest, historical information isn't going to make the biggest difference for me right now. I need to focus on the future. So that's why we're doing this calendar fix-it sprint. So you can start to ask yourself, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to spend time thinking about our calendar. We're going to prioritize what matters most. We're going to pick 3 things to implement now. We're going to pick 3 things to implement later. Then we're going to refine, review, and repeat, right? So the thing to remember is here, we're not trying to perfect our calendar. All we're trying to do is open the conversation. We're trying to get momentum built, right? We're trying to get in that mind of fixing it so that it is a helpful tool for us. So you're not trying to make it useful. You're not trying to make your calendar perfect. You're trying to make it useful. And so that is the goal with the sprint. So let's dig in a little bit more on the sprints and let's look a little bit, right? So one of the things when you're talking about your calendar fix-it sprint, again, I want you to think about your calendar plan. The goal isn't to solve problems, it's to notice what you want your calendar support. Ask yourself things like, what feels heavy right now? Where does time feel stressful? Where would more time control make my days feel easier? And what would I like my calendar to help me feel? Spend some time. So when we're talking about our calendar fix-it sprint, the goal is to spend some time identifying how you want your calendar to show up, how you want to use your calendar, how you want to use it to make your life easier and more productive, take control of your time. And then you're going to start to identify that list, prioritize, and you're going to start taking small steps at once. The goal of spending so much time thinking about a calendar fix sprint is because we want to let our mind expand and explore what useful looks like for our calendar in this season. It's going to look like different things at different times. So the goal of the calendar sprint, fix-it sprint, is to say, What do we want to improve and how do we want to use our calendar? How do we want it to appear in our productivity? What is the use for our productivity of a calendar tool, right? Because your calendar should support your productivity, not fight it. So one of the things we always want to remember is calendaring, as is everything with productivity, is 100% personal. So you need to find fixes that work for you. So let's do that. We're going to look at 6 challenges right now, and we're going to look at how to overcome challenges and your fix-it plans. So let's look at 6 different challenges that you might have with your calendar and then a fix-it plan to make it better. So I have a question for you. Do you ever open your calendar and mostly see just all meetings? Okay, so that is fix-it challenge number 1. All my calendar does is tell me about meetings. Here's my productivity fix-it for you. Add blocks or working time, add thinking time, add personal time, add family time or recurring tasks. Your calendar shouldn't just be about appointments. Your calendar, again, is telling a picture of your life. So if you open it up and you're only seeing appointments, you're not using it to its full advantage, right? So that's where you want to start to identify, oh, wait, I do yoga every Wednesday night. Oh, I like to meditate. I want to block off time, right? So your calendar is allowing you to start to block off and start to paint a picture of what you want your day to look like. Okay, so we just went through a productivity sprint. We looked through a calendar fix-it sprint. So when we're looking at each challenge, the other things we're going to say is, what's a sprint fix-it, a sprint pick you can use to fix this productivity challenge with your calendar? Now, that was a mouthful to say, but what we want to do when we're saying, if you open your calendars and you only see meetings, we know you want to start using your calendar for additional things. So the sprint pick fix-it is this one of the 3 fixes you want to fix right now? Is this one of those things where you want to be like, you know what? I don't want my calendar to just tell me about meetings. I want it to tell me where I've been. I want it to give more information. If so, pick updating your calendar for your fix-it sprint action item top 3 right now. Now let's look at the second challenge. So the second challenge, right? Second productivity calendar challenge is, at a calendar glance, can you tell what kind of day you're going to have? Can you look at your calendar and tell what kind of day you're going to have? What do I mean by that? Is it a busy day? Am I in meetings? Am I back to back? Do I need to plan a meal because I'm going to be sitting behind Zoom for 9 hours? If you look at your calendar, can you tell what kind of day you're having? So fix-it challenge number 2 and the productivity fix is, you actually do want to be able to see what your day is. You want to be able to get a glimpse. You want to do this in a couple of ways. One is you want to use color codes or even naming schemes to quickly see, is this work or is this personal? Is this focus time or is this meetings? Is this high energy or is this low energy time, right? When we think about it, we can use colors coding. I've mentioned this before. Quite a fan of color coding. Dear Google, if on calendaring you could add more colors to the color coding, oh, that would be a delight. When you think about it, adding colors, adding themes to your calendar item is going to let you know, is it work? Is it personal? For me, I like to color code based on work, based on project time. Is this taking care of me time? Is this logistics time? Is this family and friends time? What is it? I like to be able to look at my calendar and know by color. Another way you could do that is naming schemes, right? You could use naming schemes to be personal, work. If you've ever had a friend and a business person with the same name, then sometimes you might want to separate when you're calendaring items for the friend happy hour as opposed to the work person, which might be a business meeting, right? So you want to start thinking about, what is it that I want to differentiate and be able to quickly tell? One thing that I will say is, one of the reasons I like color coding, green is money-making activities, right? Because green is green. And so for me, if I look on my calendar, I look in a week ahead or in the weeks in behind, and I don't see a lot of green, I know that's an issue, right? If we think about it, if we take our time and if we paint the portrait we want, set our calendar up. Now, a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, Megan, that's too much work. But it's not. When you think about it, you're always going to add an item to your calendar, and adding a color is just a simple button, right? So it's taking a little time to set up, but it's worth it to tell the story of your life. So The fix it for challenge number 2, right? Challenge number 2 is I look at my calendar and I can't tell what kind of day I'm having or what I'm doing. The fix it is use things like color coding, naming scheme, use things like that to be able to tell you is share and point the pic. Use your color scheme and color coding and naming schemes. That was hard for me to say. Use your color coding and naming scheme to paint the picture and to be able to help you know what to expect, right? So when we think about it, what is our sprint fix it for our calendar not representing us is ask yourself, would it make your calendar easier to use if you added naming scheme and color codes? I'm not telling you have to do it now. I'm just saying all you have to do for the sprint is fix it, is ask yourself, do I want to start doing things like that? Because if you put it in the back of your mind, it's going to start to bubble and percolate. And there's going to be a day when you're like, I need to add color codes, and it's going to make a difference, right? So let's look at fix it challenge number 3. So let's look at our calendar productivity challenge number 3, right? Have you ever opened a calendar item and thought, why is that here? Who put it? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? This is a common challenge for people with their calendars. We put activities on our calendar, but we don't put details to provide information to support and back it up. So fix it challenge number 3 is be aware of the power of details, notes, and naming schemes. We already talked about naming schemes, but again, just to reinforce, things like details and notes. Add notes, agendas, or context so future you isn't guessing. Now, this is where you want to ask yourself one question. Is anyone else able to see this calendar invite? Which we know we share calendar invites, and that's okay. But you need to ask yourself before you add your notes, because I one time had a client who he had same name that he worked with 2 people, same name, 2 people. And one he would put in the notes, he had something about how he might've been a jerk. And that was the one that ended up getting shared with that client, with that jerk. So we just want to be aware of ourselves. If we're adding, I'm a huge fan of adding details and action items to calendar items. One of the things I'll do, for example, if I'm going shopping somewhere, maybe that's where I keep my shopping list, right? If I'm having an appointment and I'm scheduling a meeting with multiple people, I'll put desired outcome of this meeting. Here's what we're talking about, right? So we can add details. If it's an appointment just for us, add whatever you want. There are times when I have client appointments, if they're not on it, that I'll add notes or things I want to talk about. Or that is a great time. If I thought of something, that's a great place where I'll pop it in the calendar item, and then the person will get the note. So again, what I'm saying is, if you have a tendency to where you look at your calendar item, you open it up and you're like, oh, I don't know what this is about. That's a challenge. So we have a fix it. An easy fix it is to be aware of the power of the details, notes, naming schemes, and what you're adding on your calendar. You can add whatever you want. Remember who you're sharing it with, but you can add whatever you want. So let's look a little bit about how we can connect this to our sprint pick. For our sprint pick fix it is what would help future you instantly understand this commitment, right? So when I'm saying to add information or I'm saying add details, what I'm saying is let's move to the calendar of January 2027. If I'm looking back at my calendar in the past, what would be useful to add? Or if I'm looking at an event that's been in the future, what would be useful to add? So the sprint pick for how to overcome, I opened up my appointment and I didn't know what it was, is for you to begin to say, what does future you want to know in it? Because that's going to help you to know what to put. But I'm going to say, use your details, notes, and naming schemes because it's very powerful and important. Small note, I would, when I very first started as a strategic productivity partner, I would create all my own appointments, right? When I had a virtual assistant who used a different naming scheme than I did, every one of my clients at one point said, who set up that appointment? Because that's not the naming scheme you use. And so they knew that someone else was setting up my appointments. So consistency does matter. All right. So that was the 4th challenge and fix it. We are 3rd challenge and fix it. We are halfway through. Let's talk about our 4th right now. Our 4th is your calendar designed on purpose or built by whatever shows up first? Is your calendar built on purpose or is it built on whatever ever just shows up? And we got a comment here. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you are getting some great information about your calendar and how you can fix it. But what we want to look at right now is your calendar designed on purpose or by whatever shows up? What I mean by that is, do you have a plan and a reason? Kind of the things we're talking about with the sprint, right? Do you have I hate to use this word because people are going to call me, I'm being extra. I'm extra. But do you have a methodology or a plan for your calendar is really what I'm talking about. And what I mean by this is, what do you want to use your calendar for? Again, as I've said, I like it to tell me what I've done in the past, what I need to be doing right now, and what I'm going to be planning for in the future. That's what works for me. So when I am updating my calendar, that is the end in mind, right? Begin with an end in mind. So the Fix It challenge number 4 is for you to begin with an end in mind and know what it is you want your calendar to do. Right? It's important also when you think about it, plan in phases. Set regular planning update sessions where you decide how you want to spend your time, right? So when we think about the Fix It for your purpose is to set up time with your calendar so it creates and has a purpose, right? If you're using your calendar and you're planning in phases, if you look at it weekly or monthly or daily, if you look at your calendar weekly, monthly, or daily, you're beginning to build a relationship and a rapport with it. And I know that sounds silly to say, but it is true. Our calendar can be our ultimate wingman with information if we let it. So we want to plan in phases. We want to look at what is it that we're looking at. We want to prioritize, and we want it to use block time, set expectations, and shape your schedule so time doesn't control you. So when we think about the Fix It for challenge number 4, it's really, what is our thought for our calendar? How do we want to use it? What are we going to spend? Begin with an end in mind. So your sprint Fix It for the productivity challenge of calendaring is, what's one block planning session you'll add to your calendar so you can stay in control of your schedule? So my sprint pick suggestion, if this is an area you want to improve, spend some time and actually start blocking with one time block and see how that works for you. All right, moving on to the 5th challenge. Do you treat your calendar like a one-time page, like a one-time setup, or is it a tool you keep improving? Now, as you know, if you have stuck with me at all through intentional productivity tips, I think that productivity is a process. It is not transactional. It is an ongoing system that we're going to improve to meet at that moment. So in order to do it, it is so important for us to ask ourselves, do we treat our calendar as a transactional one-time thing, or is it a tool that we're going to learn from and use from? When you think about it, and in this sense, I will be specific to Google Calendars. Google Calendars has come a long way with the fact that based on what you add, you're able to start looking and seeing time trends and things like that, right? So when you think about it, our calendar can tell where we've spent our time to not improve just our time, but our lives. So when we think about treating our calendar as an ongoing process to learn from, we want to remember there are some productivity fix-its. Review, refine, and repeat. Review, refine, and repeat. Your calendar is yours. It is yours, yours, yours. You can do whatever you want with it. So if you want all of your appointments to be in green, have them all be in green. I had a client tell me one day, he was really, you could tell he was stressed. And he was like, Megan, I don't want to see red on my calendar. And I was like, then don't see red on your calendar, right? So what we're saying here is we want to look at it as a system that we're continually improving and we're refining, right? We're going to review, refine, and repeat. We also want to think a quick review helps us notice what's working, adjust what isn't, and set more realistic time expectations, right? So when we think about it, it's not just about judgment, and it's not just going on a reaction of how we can feel about things. Our calendar provides backup for us. We can see, oh, wait, I worked 60 hours for the last 4 weeks. I wonder why I'm feeling burnt out. Because you worked 60 hours for the last 4 weeks. So our calendar can help us to begin to guide things. So I would say setting a time where you regularly review your schedule and how you're using your calendar is a hidden power, right? So when we're looking at our sprint fix, when we're looking at our sprint tip and how we're going to work on improving our calendar fix-its, what's the first review habit you'll try so your calendar keeps getting more useful? I want to challenge you. Pick one review habit, right? It could be I'm going to spend 10 minutes every Sunday planning the next week. It could be I'm going to spend 15 minutes every Thursday updating what's happened. It could be any habit. It could be I'm going to actually open my calendar on my phone. It could be any of those things. When you think about it, all of the point of this is improving, identifying our challenges and improving and finding the fix-its, right? So, what is your first calendar habit that you're going to improve? All right, and now here's our final, and this is a little bit of a bonus, a quick win, right? So our sixth fix-it challenge is, do you miss things because your calendar isn't always with you? Or you're constantly checking the time? This is where it's really interesting depending on where we work, whether we work maybe at an office, whether we work at home, remotely, hybrid, whatever it is. A lot of times, and especially in the circa 1900s and the early 2000s, when I entered in the work world, our work calendar was, well, it was that big thing on the desk, right? It was that big calendar, or it was our work computer. It was separate. But we now know that our lives have merged together. And so one of the things that is an important fix-it, and one of the biggest things you can take away, is to ask yourself, is my calendar accessible and is it giving me the notifications I need, right? So you want to make sure that your calendar is available on your devices and use notifications to support you, especially if your schedule isn't consistent. So this is where I suggest things like, again, make sure that you have your calendar. I always have my phone. Oh, look, it's right here. Guess what? Oh, there's also Kleenex. My phone is right here. I have my phone with me all the time. My calendar's on my phone, so I always have my calendar, right? If I set up a notification on my calendar, I'm going to get it on my phone. And so this is where we want to think about being strategic. And if one of my challenges with my calendaring system is that I feel that I'm not aware of it, then we need to fix it by saying, okay, I'm going to bring my calendar with me. Now, when it comes to notifications, this is something that's increasingly important. And I learned this several years ago. I had a roommate. She was crazy, and she was always late to things and running around crazy because she didn't keep track of time. So this is a rule that I learned from her. So it's my Maudie Lou rule. But one of the things that I have learned that has helped me with my calendar the most, and this is a quick win bonus, is after I finish an appointment, an event, or a time block, I set a 15-minute alert before my next event, right? So I know I'll be notified and I don't have to keep watching the clock. This is how I trust my calendar instead of mentally tracking time all day, right? I have an inconsistent schedule and I'm remote. So to me, I need to know what action is coming or activity is coming up next. So I also use my calendar in my phone as a notification system, and I always set an alarm 15 minutes before my next action. So for example, when I am done filming and recording this episode, my next call is with a client named Jazzy at 4:30. So I'm going to set an alarm for 4:15. And I will know that, okay, I have something in 15 minutes. Again, so this is something, and I've given you a little bit more information about me, but I wanted you to see how it works, right? One of the things I identified was that I had a true challenge of knowing when and where to be someplace. So again, I realized the power of my calendar and keeping it update and matching that with notifications or alarms. And that way I always know what I'm doing. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about this calendar challenge and letting your calendar's productivity help you, letting your calendar help take control and guide your time so we're not responding. Is there anyone else that feels like in this year, January 2026, we're just responding to everything? By taking control of your calendar and working on these fix-its, you'll be able to take control at least of your time and know where you're supposed to be next and trust that you'll show up, which is important. So sprint pick when we're looking at, do you miss things because your calendar isn't always with you? What we want to ask ourselves is, where do you most often need let me start that over. Where do you most often need your calendar to show up for you? Right? Where do you most often need to see it? I know it might sound people like, oh, that's out there to say show up, but I literally mean, where do you need your calendar to show up for you in front of your face? Is it your phone? Is it your laptop? When we think about productivity, quick tips for our calendar, if we know where we are, we know where we're supposed to be, and we trust that we'll be there on time, again, isn't that a win? When we think about all that I've been talking about today, when we think about all of these different thoughts and we think about everything that goes on with our calendar, right? The purpose and goal of our calendar is to take control of our day. Again, it's to tell our life story of where we've been, where we are now and where we're going. And that helps us to take control of the future. So my goal today has been for you to think about your desired calendaring outcome. You're not trying to perfect your calendar, you're trying to make it useful. When we think about it, that is the biggest goal that we have with our calendar. So that's why my goal today has been to make you think, or to suggest, not make, but my goal today has been to have you do a quick sprint and saying, how can I fix this system that I've got? Then to say, all right, here are some calendar challenges and then some fixes that we can take and make it better with our calendar and our time. So when we think about it, taking control of time, when your calendar starts helping you and you stop fighting time and start working on it, intentional productivity really pays. It will make a difference for you because you'll have a true vision of what you're supposed to be doing. As every week, my goal is that you take at least one step that we have talked about today and that you implement it into your life. My goal for you today has been that you think about your calendar, fix it, and productivity habits that actually help. I hope that at least one of the things that we have talked about, you kind of perked up and you think that's something I can do. Again, a calendar is a powerful tool. A calendar paints a picture of our life, our time, our effort, and our energy. If we know that, it's going to help take control of our productivity today. I want to thank you for joining me today. My name is Megan. I am your very, very favorite strategic productivity partner. You have been watching me on USA Global TV, radio, and TV's YouTube channel, where I will be back next Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. In fact, I'll be back every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. So please remember to like, subscribe, and even show up. If you want to connect ever, you can reach me. You can email me at hey@productivitymegan.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at Intentional Productivity Tips. I want to thank you again for joining me. I want to say thank you for taking time to be intentional with your productivity, because it will make a difference and it will make your life better. Have a great week. I will see you next week. Back here, USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube network. And now a word from our sponsors.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book, Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbick. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.